The number one question that I get asked from new investors is, can I lose money when investing? And the short answer for that is yes. So that's why in this video, we asked ChatGPT what are the 3 safest investment options that we can invest in. And the best part about it is we're gonna tailor it to our risk level. And ChatGPT gave us 3 amazing options, and I can't wait to show you guys in this video. For those of you who don't know, my name is Jay to the Von, and over here on this channel, we talk about investing and finance, and we make it so simple so that the everyday person can watch these videos and understand it. All I ask is that if you get something useful from this video, be sure to hit the like button down there, and don't be afraid to subscribe to the channel as well, because that helps get this video to other people who may need this information as well. But besides that, let's get right into the topic. Okay, so like all of my other videos using ChatGPT, I'll have the prompt in the description down below ready for you guys to copy and paste. So what we're gonna do is here, we're gonna go to ChatGPT, and the prompt that we're gonna paste in is this. You are a professional investor. Tell me the 3 safest ways to invest my money. I have insert amount to invest, and my biggest concern is safely growing my money and not losing it. Then tell me how much money I would have today if I invested in these options 5 years ago. So very important. What you're gonna do here is you're gonna go to this insert amount, and you're gonna put the amount that you're willing to invest. So for this example, I'm just going to use $5,000. So let's say here, 5,000. And just to explain this prompt, so you wanna start off with this, always tell it what you want it to be. And right here, I just added this sentence at the end just because I want to see what if we did listen to ChatGPT's advice, where will we be at today? So then once we have that already all set, we're just going to hit enter and see what ChatGPT gives us. So as always, in seconds, ChatGPT gave us our results. So let's just go over it one by one. So for the first option here, ChatGPT says, great, let's focus on steady growth. The first option they gave us is high yield savings accounts. These have become very popular over the past 10 years for one reason and one reason alone. People realize that the interest in a regular savings account is nothing. The average savings account in America gives you about 0.41%, which is nothing at all. In 2020, when half the global population was shut down, the rate of inflation in the United States was about 3 to 4%, when your savings account is only growing at 0.41%. And basically, for those of you who don't know, the rate of inflation is how much weaker your money is getting by the day. $100 20 years ago is not the same $100 that you have today. So let's get back into this example by ChatGPT here. So they say, why is this safe? They say it's safe because it's FDIC insured up to $250,000, practically no risk of loss. And what this means is if the bank somehow loses your money, you can get it right back, no questions asked, up to $250,000. Anything after that, that's when it gets a little bit tricky. Then down here, went over the growth for us. So high yield savings accounts, they grow at an average of 4 to 5% annually. I like this first option a lot because in this option, you're literally losing no money at all. The only thing you're doing is putting your money in a high yield savings account and letting it sit and sit and sit. It's the most boring way possible. But if you're someone who's focused on not losing money, then this is the option for you. Side note, I use American Express for my high yield savings account, but I'll leave a link in the description down below so that you guys can view other options for high yield savings account and the interest rates that those options provide. So going back to ChatGPT here, I definitely rate this option very high because this has literally no risk at all. Let's move down to the second option that ChatGPT gave us, and right here we see that it's US Treasury bonds. I like this option a lot. And for those of you who don't know, basically what a treasury bond is, you're basically lending money to the United States government, and then they're going to pay you semi-annually until that bond expires. For example, if I give the US government $1,000 and they promise to pay me back 30 years from now, I'm going to receive the interest on that $1,000 until that 30 years is up. Let's go down here and read more about what ChatGPT said. So right here it says, why is it safe? Well, it's backed by the US government. That's pretty safe in itself. And right here it said it's considered the world's safest borrower. Yeah, the United States is in a lot of debt, trillions of debt, but they're gonna pay you back eventually. If the United States can't pay you back, I promise you the world probably has bigger problems than whatever amount that you put into these treasury bonds. I promise you that. It'll have to be like an all-out war, or we're using all of the money that we have in the supply. So again, this is another very safe option that ChatGPT gave us, but one thing that you have to keep in mind with these safe options, if it's super safe, that means you probably won't get high returns. So let's go down to the next part here. So for growth, ChatGPT says that the current treasury bond rate is about 4.2%. So that's not too bad actually. So for basically guaranteeing our money back, we're getting 4.2%. Now, if I'm someone who's very afraid of losing money and I just want to have my money and just earn as little as possible while not risking anything, this is a great option for me. So already I love these first two picks by ChatGPT. For anyone who wants to invest money but is terrified of losing a single dollar, these two options are definitely for you. But this is not financial advice. Always remember that on this channel here. All right, let's scroll down to the last option that ChatGPT gave us, and it's none other than invest in the S&P 500. Now, I have a lot of videos where I mention the S&P 500, and what it is, it's the 500 largest public companies in the United States. And instead of buying one of those 500 companies, what you're doing is you're buying a piece of all 500 companies. So in those 500 companies, you might have Apple, Nvidia, Walmart, and some of the other biggest companies in America. So why is this safe? ChatGPT tells you right here it's not risk-free like the cash or bonds, but historically they have the most reliable long-term wealth builder and diversified across the 500 top companies in the United States. So even though this is the riskiest one of the three options, you're also a little bit diversified here. So instead of buying Apple, let's say that Apple has a terrible day, it's down about 50%, but let's say the other 499 companies in the S&P 500, they had an amazing day. It kind of balances itself out. So instead of going down 50% like Apple did, you'll perform however the average of those 500 companies did for that day. Now for this option, even though I keep saying that it's the riskiest one, you can't really be afraid of this because if you're going to invest in the stock market, this is one of the safest ETFs to invest in. Why is this one of the safest options to invest in? Well, ever since this was introduced in the early 1900s, the S&P 500 have returned an average of 10% every year. So if you put in $1,000 in, you're gonna get $100 just like that. But keep in mind, this is not guaranteed. So even though they return an average of 10%, one year they might go down, you never know. And that's exactly why it's risky. Now let me show you this using a real chart. This is ticker symbol VOO, and this follows the S&P 500. So look at this chart here. So let's say that we invested our money right here in March 18, 2022. So in March 18, 2022, the S&P 500 was $409. And after that, you see that it dipped a little bit. So right here, it went down to 350. So if we put in our money right here on March 18th, 2022, we would have lost the money. It's at $409. And how long would it have taken us to get back to that $409? Let's look at this chart right here. So it dipped right here, peaked again in August of 2022, but still not $409. Let's keep going. We got back to our $409 right here in July 14, 2023. So we had to wait over a year just to get back to our initial investment. So I just want you guys to know this is not a guaranteed return, and this is one where you could possibly lose money. But in investing, you don't lose until you sell. And also, since we're on the chart here, look at this. So if we stopped right here, once we got back to our initial investment of $409, you can see that it continued to climb and climb and climb, and today it's at $615. So in the past 5 years, this is up over 100%. And that's exactly why so many people love the S&P 500, and it's one of the most recommended ETFs in the world. So let's scroll down here and let's see what else ChatGPT gave us. So over here, ChatGPT is comparing the $5,000 over 5 years for each of the options they gave us. So right here, you see the high yield savings account, and they put the risk level as very low. That's true. And if we put $5,000 in 5 years ago, we'll be at $5,600. So if we're doing nothing at all, we got $600 out of that. That's amazing, and we didn't lose any money in the process. So let's look at our next option down here, US Treasury bonds. This was another one that was very low. So if we put $5,000 in 5 years ago, we're at $5,700 to $6,000. Again, this was one where we had literally no risk at all. So we made $700 doing nothing at all. So let's move down here to the S&P 500, which we just went over. And like we said, this is not a low risk option at all. This is moderate, ChatGPT gave us. But if we put $5,000 in the S&P 500 5 years ago, it'll be at a whopping $8,500. So we made $3,500 by keeping our money in the S&P 500. And one general rule that I want to go over with you guys is higher risk, higher returns. So usually if you're putting your money into riskier options, those riskier options have a possibility of higher returns. In the casino, they call this gambling. In the stock market, they call this being crazy until you're right. In 5 years, we'll turn our $5,000 to $8,500 compared to these other two options where you'll still be in the $5,000 range. And down here, ChatGPT put it nicely, so if your number one concern is safety, definitely stick to the high yield savings account options or the treasury options. But if you want to be safe while also maximizing growth, ChatGPT is suggesting mixing 50% of the treasuries and putting the other 50% in the S&P 500. I think that's a great strategy as well. But again, this is not financial advice. So there we have it. ChatGPT gave us those 3 amazing options. What do you guys think about those options? Will you be investing in one of those? What do you think about them? Or are they too slow for your liking? Like I stressed in this video, if your main goal is safety, your investing journey is gonna go a little bit slower. But if your main goal is growth, you may go faster, but you have more likelihood to lose money, which is never a good thing. If you watch this entire video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you have other videos that you wanna see on this topic, be sure to comment down below. But other than that, guys, peace.